This is in no way my attempt to justify my comic book obsession. And this story, I really, really like. Artwork, the storytelling. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Pull List. My name is Travis. Let's talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Now I'm pretty sure it goes without saying, but if you've not seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 yet, stop this video, don't watch any further, there will be spoilers. I saw Guardians 2 over the weekend and I loved it. You definitely get your money's worth with the references, the cameos, the dialogue, and the 5 end credit scenes. And there are a lot of people that are saying, well, it's not as good as the first one, but the first one didn't have to deal with expectations at all. This one does. And the first Guardians film was so unique that it was pegged as an underdog, and it blew the box office out of the water. That's a phrase that doesn't make any sense. But it was pegged as an underdog, and a sequel is never going to be able to recapture that feeling. And so many of James Gunn's tropes are just so wonderfully self-aware. Angry teen, deadbeat dad, two sisters fighting, but not for generic reasons. Groot is back, but he's much more childlike, which is a refreshing turn of pace from the first film. Kurt Russell was fantastic as Ego, but I'll talk more about him a little later. Ego created a body so he could go have kids all over the galaxy, including Quill's mom. I will say this, on that date at the first scene of the movie, that was some incredible de-aging CGI. And this is Marvel's third time using CGI to de-age someone. Downey Jr., Douglas, and now Russell. And now that I think about it, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was very Empire Strikes Back, wasn't it? Our team gets split up across the galaxy for the majority of the film, there's flirtatious tension between two of the leads, our main lead finds out who his father is. But when you boil it all down, this film is about a ragtag group with relationship issues. Quill lost his mom as a child, and then his deadbeat dad shows up. Nebula and Gamora both want to murder their abusive dad. Drax is understandably still broken up over the loss of his family. Rocket is angry with his creators and ends up pushing everyone else away. And by the end of the film, Peter realizes that he has two dads, only to lose both of them. But the relationships that are built on in this film are just so brilliantly orchestrated. Drax and Mantis, Gamora and Nebula, Peter and Yondu, Rocket and Yondu. And speaking of Yondu, he stole nearly every scene that he was in this film, and the ending? Oh gosh, I got a little teary-eyed. But the center of the group is Groot. He's the center of it all, so much so that he brings out the best in everyone else around him. He's like the little foster kid of our ragtag group. They all watch over Groot in ways that no one has ever bothered to watch out for them. And ego is another central point in this film. Not ego the planet, ego the emotion. False pride leads to self-righteousness, which leads to ego. And to me, ego is tied in with insecurity. It's insecurity and ego that cause Peter and Rocket to fight over control of the ship during that battle. It's insecurity and ego that cause a leadership vacuum in the Ravagers. It's insecurity and ego that cause the Sovereign to not suffer the slightest insult. And while we're on the subject of ego, I will go as far as to say that Ego, the character, is probably my favorite Marvel villain thus far. Let's be honest, not many of the Marvel villains have been great. And I've always found that the most dangerous villains are those that wholeheartedly believe that they are not doing anything wrong. And Ego isn't inherently evil, he's just narcissistic. He wants to spread himself into literally everything. He's the living embodiment of ego. There was an article I read a while back that said that Thor is vain, Cap is stubborn, and Iron Man is arrogant. Ego is all of that emotion bottled up into a planet. He has the small flaws of our mighty Avengers and the ability to expand himself into everythingness. And on top of that, he becomes such a good foil for our Guardians because he is the living embodiment of ego that they themselves are struggling with. And Ego works so well as a villain in this film because the Guardians work so well as his foil. And I'm really glad that they took their time to explain Ego and his motives before actually revealing his devious plan, I guess we could call it, before revealing his actual motives. I'm not sure why he just so offhandedly said that tumor thing. He had to have known that Peter would not take that lightly, right? Or else he was either to the point where, oh, my son is going to understand my motives, it's fine, he'll get it, he sees eternity. Probably a mixture of his own narcissistic tendencies and my son totally sees it from my perspective now. In the end, Quill chooses his adoptive family over the one thing that he has searched for his entire life. because his adoptive family, the Guardians, have actually helped him grow as a person. And now hopefully he knows that it's highly dangerous to idealize the past. In the comments down below, let me know your thoughts about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. What did you think of Ego? What did you think of Quill's character progression? Tell me anything at all. That's it for this episode of The Pull List. My name is Travis. Thank you for fueling my comic book obsession, and you will see me tomorrow.